Alright, my good tenor, the Strun Prime, but with the Incarnon adapter. Hehe.
Oh my god!
It is beautiful, honestly. It's so much fun, and I love the new Incarnon weapon adapters, and they are absolutely amazing. So if you chose your Strun Prime this week on rotation, well, like I showed you, you won't be disappointed. I will argue with you that this is probably one of the best shotguns in the game right now when fully min-maxed. I always show Rivenless builds, but this weapon with a good Riven will honestly be insane. Firstly, where to farm these weapons? Well, if you don't know where to farm them, you have to farm the new Circuit game mode on Steel Path and basically choose which weapons you want on rotation for the week. Endless game mode, go through the stages, pretty simple. The materials that you need are of course Pathos clamps, which you will need to farm normal Deviri and take out the worm. You also need Rune Marrow for this as well, which you farm from Circuit around the map, and Soma Extract, which you get from the caves in the Deviri Experience or Lone Story. Before we proceed, hit that like button. It really supports me. Thank you very much. Now let's go over the evolutions. Alright, so for the evolutions, you have the first one, which is obviously already unlocked for you. Now the Incarnon form of the Strun basically turns it into an absolute beam with AoE. For the second evolution, you have two choices. Increase damage by 2, and with a channel ability active, you have 4 punch through. It's not good, I'll have to be honest, because with the Incarnon form, it doesn't punch through the enemies. So this only works without the Incarnon form. So personally, I actually prefer the next one, which gives you multi-shot called Blazing Barrel. Now how this works is every time you fire, you get 5% multi-shot stacking up 5 times. So this is obviously better. It's free 25% multi-shot. How could you say no? For the third evolutions, I personally go reload speed because the Strun's reload kind of sucks. Galvanic reload, in my opinion, isn't worth it because it's for non-Incarnon form, and the Strun has so much multi-shot that with one well-placed headshot, you can pretty much insta-fill your Incarnon bar, and I don't think that there is a need for this Incarnon evolution. If you want to, you can also go projectile speed, but reload speed here is definitely the best. For the final evolution here, it's quite literally comes down to what you want to build and what you want the most of. You have 11.3% status, 12% crit chance, and then 4% for both crit and status. But there is something important to know here. This is multiplicative, so that scales. So that 11% scales a lot more. For example, with this build that I run, if we do the status chance, we go up to about 436% status chance. It can go even higher, but 436% status chance is very high. For the crit, we go up to 180% crit chance on the Incarnon form as well, which is quite high. You get the point, it scales really high, so you could choose a mixture between the two or focus on one. Me personally, I say go for the status here because more status equals more big PP damage. Moving on to the build, we go for a crit chance, then corrosive setup for Grineer here, and I'll explain why. If you make use of a Panzer, then you will have viral procs for priming, or you could self-prime with an Epitar. This weapon does crazy slash procs with hunting munitions because of the guaranteed crit and very high multi-shot. It's honestly a must-have. So, Toxic Barrage, Critical Deceleration for crit chance, Shell Shock for electricity, Hunting Munitions for slash procs, Galvanized Hull for multi-shot, Scattering Inferno, Galvanized Savvy. Now, regarding Galvanized Savvy, to my knowledge, it will not work for the AoE of this weapon, but the projectile itself. So this is only really useful if you are taking on super tanky targets and then priming them. So use this for Thraxes and Demolishers and so on. But you do so much damage with this weapon, and with the extra status chance, it's actually worth it to use this mod. And then a Bane of choice for more bleed damage. This is really important. A Bane really benefits this weapon quite a lot. Galvanized Acceleration, or you can use a Ammo Mutation mod. And then Primary Merciless for more damage and reload speed as well. This will give you a corrosive heat setup. Alternatively, you can also just run a flat viral setup and build for more crit, like this build over here. This does huge bleed proc damage and is really nice if you don't want to worry about priming, worrying about having a Panzer. Let's say you want to run a Smeeter, or you don't feel like running an Epitar, or maybe if you are a beginner player or a mid-game player and you don't have all these crazy mods, then just build for flat viral, anti-munitions, and build for crit chance, crit damage, and a Bane, and you will be fine. This weapon will be able to pretty much clear all content comfortably. But then, now for those of you that have watched me for a while know that I preach about the CERATA and it being an absolutely amazing corpus killer. Enter the Strun Prime, or the Strun with the Incarnon. This weapon is absolutely insane against corpus with a flat toxin build like this. Honestly, it does so much damage with corpus enemies, and with the insanely high status chance, you of course are going to always proc toxin procs. That means consistently ignoring shields and going for the tiny health bars of Corpus enemies. It's basically a primary CERATA right now. It's amazing, and I would highly recommend using this as an alternative to the CERATA if you don't feel like using melee. This weapon also, in my opinion, needs to be paired with Raw or Eclipse. It needs a lot of flat damage or something to double dip more bleed tick damage. Don't use Xarta's Whisper here because it completely messes up the AoE damage and the spread of the AoE projectile. So don't use Xarta's Whisper or Mag's Bubble. It kind of messes it up here. Because the Strun has so much status chance and guaranteed crit chance, this weapon does benefit a lot from hunting munitions, which is why we focus a lot on dot builds rather than just a flat damage build. Also, when you finally farm the new Arcane, Shotgun Vendetta is going to be quite nice with this weapon for that extra multi-shot. This weapon can definitely do higher level steel pass, although I haven't tested it at level cap yet. I will do so on stream. Thraxes, easy. Demolishers, easy. Acolytes, shreds. I don't need to say more about this weapon. It honestly speaks for itself. Just by how much damage this does at base steel path, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this weapon can potentially be one of the best shotguns in Warframe right now, and I would go as far as to say maybe even second to the Felox. Felox is obviously more insane because of the flat damage. But yeah, anyways guys, that's the weapon. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I will see you all in the next one.